Welcome back.
Hello, friends. How are you today? So this is episode 5 of Subject to Change.
Yeah.
How are you feeling today, Daniel?
Good. I feel good. The weather's absolutely fucking bollocks.
Yeah, that was a bit of a dead response. Good.
Oh, incredible, fantastic, pretty good. Yeah. Nothing's gone bad. Nothing's going in any bad way. So I'm feeling good.
That's right.
What the fuck do you want me to say?
I don't know.
What the fuck do you want? How the fuck are you feeling today?
How am I feeling?
Yeah.
A bit lethargic, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah.
When did you learn that?
I've been reading.
You've been reading?
Yeah.
I can't read.
I actually feel a bit tired today, but it could be just the weather, to be honest with you.
You always say you're tired.
I definitely do not.
No, I do. I always say I'm tired.
Yes, so good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, and good night, wherever and whenever you're listening to this podcast.
If you are watching on YouTube, by the way, Oakley got his balls chopped, which is why he's got a comb around his neck.
Yes.
So he's getting that off tomorrow.
And you'll probably hear him shake a few times or scratch.
Yeah.
But we decided to do this episode and very quickly decided to do this episode actually due to some of the stuff that's been going on around the world. I'm sure a lot of you have seen on social media the uproar that is Sarah Everard being kidnapped and murdered in London. And we just felt as men who have decided to create this platform for ourselves, the platform being this podcast, where our tagline is talking about the things that matter and things that don't. We feel that this is something that we definitely should be talking about, and this is something that absolutely does matter. And that's why we've come on today to just have a quick talk, because it's one of those situations where, because we are men, we probably don't think very much about.
I think it's one of those things where if it doesn't affect you directly, it's really easy to just not get involved.
Yeah.
So I think that's, again, one of the bigger reasons we wanted to do this, because, you know, just about anything, you know, if it was something about homophobia or racism, we'd still want to speak about it. So this is just as important. And
100%. 100%. And I think one of the things that really hit me the hardest was kind of just seeing, sorry, that was ugly. Kind of seeing the amount that was being posted about on social media about the situation, and it took me a while to post anything myself, because I wanted like kind of look into what was going on. I'm not someone that's gonna like just share anything willy-nilly without actually looking into it and kind of like getting my own 2 piece on it. But I think people need to realize when it comes to this sort of stuff that the Sarah Everard wasn't a situation that's just a one-off. Like, the reason why there's such an outpour from everyone is because this is something that happens all the time. Happens all the time. And I think as a guy, as men, we think that when women talk about sexual assault and stuff like that, we're thinking about the worst case scenario. So, for example, what happened to Sarah, people think, oh, like not all, well, this hashtag not all men thing. People think it's not all men, but then at the end of the day, sometimes these women don't even know which men are the good ones.
Well, it's also not about the fact that it's not all men. It's the fact that it's the same as it's not all. What was it? All Lives Matter movement. It's the fact that you're speaking about a demographic of people, and people are more cautioned to like defend themselves and to understand where people are coming from. And there was a great analogy where it was a metaphor analogy, whatever I saw on Instagram, and it was like if someone gave you 10 Maltesers, I really like this. If someone gave you 10 Maltesers and told you one of them was a lump of shit dunking in like some milk chocolate, would that make you wary of all the others? And I was like, that is a great way to explain it. It's not the fact they know it's not all men, but it's not the point of that. They're talking about the people it does happen to and the people who are causing it. So instead of just defending yourself, just jump on board with the movement of, you know, why people can just be better. Just fucking do better as human beings.
I find it so sad that we live in a world where things have to be dumbed down to that level for people to actually understand how to just be emotive and appreciate what people are telling them, what women are telling them, that they're going through this thing every day, where they're afraid to walk through their own neighborhood the middle of the day on their own. If they see another guy, it's a very uncomfortable experience, and they're wondering what's going to happen. And that's the thing. The thing with Sarah happens so much. And naturally, for some reason, the media and people on social media are always quick to blame the victim. You see stories of women getting raped, and it's just like, oh, well, she shouldn't have been.
She was wearing that.
She shouldn't have been wearing that, or she shouldn't have been walking home on her own at that night. And it's just like, why are we always blaming the victim for these incidents? Why is the idea of Sarah walking from her friend's house at 9 p.m., like it wasn't even late, it was 9 p.m., to walk home? Why is her walking home on her own what people are concentrating on? You know what I mean?
I think from speaking to older, like people back home, older generations, they're very, because I had a few conversations with people back home about this, and they're very quick to be like, oh, you know, you should always be careful walking at night. You know what it's like out here. But it's like we've become so ingrained with, you know, the societal norms that it's like you should always be aware that you're going to get raped. And you should always be aware if you walk home at night, this could happen. And it's like you shouldn't have to.
That's
think
not
that.
The way you should be living your life anyway.
You shouldn't have to think that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. Well, this is like from older generations.
But that's
like you shouldn't have to be thinking that.
Yeah, like someone else messaged me about that. About she shouldn't have been walking home on her own at night. Like, why should she not wait until the morning? Why should she not get a taxi? Which is funny because literally the day after that, there was a post I saw on Instagram of this girl pretty much doing like different scenarios where people are just like, oh, she shouldn't have walked at night. Then the next post was like an article of theirs, girl walks home at night and gets murdered and raped. Then the next post like, oh, well, she should have waited until the morning. Girl walks home from her friend's house in the morning, gets raped, whatever. Oh, should have taken a taxi or an Uber. Girl gets raped by an Uber driver. Oh, well, she should have taken the public transport. Girl gets raped in the public transport. And it's just like, again, we're always trying to
just to like
blame the victim and not actually look at the subject matter at hand. Yet there's literally 5 or 6 different scenarios off the bat where girls have done all those things that people are saying that they should have done, and they're still getting raped. Oh, she shouldn't have worn that. Girls are getting raped who are probably completely covered in a hoodie and really baggy sweats. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like if there's a guy who wants something, and I think that's what a lot of girls know, is that if a guy wants to physically abuse them,
he will do it.
Like they can't do anything because we're just naturally stronger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like women know, as being the physically weaker species naturally, that if a guy was to actually pin them down, if they were to go on a date with a guy and they go back to his or hers, and she decides there and then, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Girls know that if the guy decides that he wants it, like there's nothing she can do. Especially if she lives on her own, or especially if no one else is in the house, or especially if her housemate is sleeping, or if you're at his house, it's just like there's nothing that she can physically do.
I think it's really for us as men to sometimes forget that situation, and when you do hear those stories from women, it's just like, fuck, I can't believe that that's still a thing that people feel every single day. It's horrible.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that you still, I know that I was speaking to one of my mates that they always instinctively message their friends when they're on a way home from a night out. Instinctively. I would never do that. My mates knows I'm home. They'll never say to me, message me when you're home. They just know. But yet women are so instinctive to do these things. And it's like you're always on guard 24/7.
Of course.
And it's, I think it just comes down to just like knowing what the other person's going through and doing what you can, those small 1%ers. And it's not about not all men, but just fucking do what you can to make other people feel safer. Do those small 1%ers, you know, whether it's, you know, crossing the road or, you know, not fucking invading someone's personal space.
Yeah, exactly. And you've made a very good point there, like making people feel safe, because I actually messaged a few girls on my IG to ask them, like, what can men do better? And it's so daunting and scary that they all pretty much said the exact same thing. You know, like when if you hear one thing from one person, you're like, oh, well, it's probably just you. Like that's just your opinion. Like it's not a thing. But literally all these girls pretty much said the exact same thing. Obviously worded slightly different, but it's just like, I've heard that. Someone else has already said that. And it's just like, that's how you know how real like this whole thing is with these women. Like they genuinely live in fear. And I was chatting to one of them the other day, and I was just like, I honestly can't fathom what you go through and how you feel walking down the street at night or walking down the street in the day when you see a guy. And then she was just like, oh, well, you know, you kind of get it to some degree, because obviously, like, you're a person of color living in this world, and there's times when you probably feel fear in situations. I'm just like, yeah, I totally get that, but this was said is like one thing I hate is whenever you're speaking to someone about an issue, a human rights issue, and you have to then change the story to put the situation in their shoes. So for example, I'm just like, I don't need to be a woman or need or you don't need to create a situation where
you can relate to it
as a black dude where I'm being discriminated for me to then understand.
Yeah.
And same for you being a Jewish guy. I shouldn't have to put you in the shoes of being a Jewish guy for you to understand what I'm going through as a black guy or what a woman is going through as a woman. You know what I mean?
I think the bottom line, we're all human.
Yeah, people are all human, but people also need to be have a better level of emotional intelligence and understanding, 100%. And understand that people are going through shit that we'll never go through. But that doesn't mean we can't understand, and that doesn't mean we don't try to learn, sit back, learn from what they're telling us.
Yeah.
Don't like say, oh well, I don't think that's true, or don't try and play this devil's advocate shit. We're just like, oh well, but what if? It's like, shut your mouth. There is no what if.
Oh, it's people coming from a place where they know they're not going to be affected by the situation. That's why it's so easy for them to give that opinion.
If you're not going to be affected for it, it's affected by a situation. Like it's so easy to play ignorant, because ignorance is bliss. You know what I mean? Like if you pretend you don't know something is going on, even though it's clearly in your face, and you pretend that it's not a thing, like you can just go on and live your life. Like as a guy, we could easily just go on and live our lives. Yeah, women are in fear, but I'm a good guy. Like I don't need to worry about that.
I think that's the whole thing of like, it's so easy for people who think they're it's really easy for people because they feel good people. They don't need to get involved in certain situations. They just do right on their own. But it's like, if you have a group of 10 people and one of them's a shit cunt and the other 9 do nothing, even though they're good people, they might as well just not be
you may as well. Yeah,
it's just the same situation.
You may as well take part.
You have to actively do something to stop a situation happening.
Of course.
And I think, it just takes getting involved and, like I said, just doing those 1%ers. And if you ever see something happening, it's getting involved in that moment.
Yeah, of course. You can't just wait.
It's not about after the fact battering some bloke for doing it. It's like in the moment, if you see it happening, do something about it.
Yeah, you got to be. I think the key is to now be proactive.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people are now realizing. Now that I think social media is so good and so bad, but I think one thing social media has done is bring so much to the front and to the surface of how shit this world is and how much shit everyone is going through. I think that's how we know people can't just be ignorant. You know what I mean? People have such a massive platform now. Most people we know have pretty much all the main social media platforms.
Yeah.
So acting ignorant is like obsolete now. Like you're not allowed to. You can't pretend.
Yeah.
You can't pretend to be ignorant. And if you're being ignorant, you're choosing to do that. You're literally just going out there seeing, because you're seeing all this stuff on social media. Like anyone that says otherwise, even meme pages share stuff about social issues. It's everywhere. So when people pretend that they don't know or they haven't seen them, just like you definitely have seen, you obviously just scanned over, don't think it's any of your problem, and you move on, which is fine, but to an extent, because you can't really get involved in everything. You know what I mean? You can't fight for everything, because then nothing would ever get done. Like you have to fight for the things and be passionate about the things that you feel somewhat hit closer to home. For example, myself, black man, Black Lives Matter, all for it. Women's issues, all for it. Homophobia, LGBTQ community, all for it. Like stuff like that you are passionate about, who people you know are going through shit that they shouldn't really be going through. Be passionate about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it comes down to just remembering that everyone else is human, just like yourself. And it's, I think, just going through that day to day, which is what's, really important. Like I said, it's so easy to just do nothing. It's so easy to just sit back. We could have just not done this. We could have just not spoke about the situation. And at the end of the day, life moves on. Yeah. But it's about being proactive. And I think that maybe before I would have, years ago, just been like, well, look, I'm a good person. I don't do that. But obviously, the older you get and more life experiences you get, and when, I've had friends who've gone through issues with men in terms of like domestic violence and stuff like this. So I completely appreciate the magnitude of the situation. The magnitude of the,
But you know what the crazy thing is? I think we underestimate how much it actually happens. Like,
oh, massively.
Like, and I think I think I mentioned this at the start, is just like, I think men's perception of what sexual assault is. Actually, I was speaking to my mum about this on the phone on Sunday or on Saturday. One of those more. I can't really keep up with whatever day it was.
Yeah.
But it was this week, and I was speaking to her on the phone about it, and I was saying to her, I think men's perception of what sexual harassment is totally different to what women's are. Because as a man, when you think sexual harassment, you're thinking like the most dirtiest of things. Like, you've grabbed them, you've pinned them down, you've tried to have sex with them and they said no, or you've like groped their private part and shit like that. But women, yes, that's sexual harassment, but women's sexual harassment is like, they're talking about grabbing their bum like in the nightclub, grabbing their boobs, like catcalling them, like saying inappropriate things when it's not on, like following them, thinking that you're being like cute and just stuff like that. And one of the girls, I have a friend from home, and we were briefly chatting, and she said that is so true. Like, she knows for a fact that what men deem as sexual harassment is going to be totally different to what she sees it. And she's like, the amount of times I've been grabbed in the ass in a nightclub and a dude thinks it's funny, I'm just like, what?
I think there was a statistic that I saw. There was like 97% of women in the UK have, I think it was 7%.
Yes, I think it was 97%.
It was like 97% have experienced sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's mental.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's mental.
But even recently, I was talking to one of my friends, and she said there was a situation with her last week where she felt so scared because this dude was just like following her while she's at the bank, and then up the street, round, and then he like finally got up to her, and then just asked her for a number. So I got the story here. So she so she wrote it down. She's like, so I obviously messaged her asking, what can men do better?
Yep.
To make women feel safer. And then she was like, massive paragraphs. I actually couldn't even read it at the time. I was like, I'm gonna go home, and then I'll read it once I'm chilled. And then a part of it, she said, something happened to me the other day where I was walking to the bank, and I went to walk into the bank, and a guy was maybe 15 meters in front of me, and he saw that I'd stopped. He stared at me and then walked into the other side of the bank while I was trying to withdraw cash. And he walked directly towards me, then behind me, and past me, and looked behind and watched me. He then followed me up the street and asked for my number. I was so scared, thinking he'd attack me because of his behaviour, staring, following me, walking fast toward me and behind me. And I'm just like, what? Like, if a girl was doing that to me, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh yeah, happy days. But it's just like, the fact that she's just gone to the bank to get cash, put cash, whatever she did in the bank.
And her initial instinct is to feel like that.
And as soon as she sees a guy staring at her from 15 meters, she instantly was just like, I'm scared. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on. And as I said before, like, physically we're stronger. So if he'd followed her and she had gone down the street and he decides to grab her on a street, I don't know where she was, like, what the fuck's she gonna do? You know what I mean?
There was something that one of my friends told me recently. One of my best mates back home. She was saying that due to like all of everything that happens and how women feel, she's like, she feels that she can't trust her judgment anymore. That men that she did think were like good, honest, really cool people suddenly turn around and just become absolute wankers. Yeah. And complex situations arise, and good guys suddenly become dickheads and just treat them like shit, and she sometimes feels a bit unsafe. And so it's just like, fuck, if you're questioning your own judgment that you can't trust anymore, that's fucking huge. Yeah. That's huge that you feel that your natural instinct is off. Yeah. Because that's the only thing that tells you day to day what the fuck you're doing. You can't go to someone else for that. That's your like. And I was just, when she said that to me, I was just like, fuck, I've never felt like that before. You know, really.
It must be a very unsettling feeling. Yeah. Like going through that where
like
you can't
idea.
Trust your judgment on men especially.
Yeah, you can't trust your judgment. You have no idea what that person's going to turn out to be on, you know. This person went on dates, and then on like the second date they were out, and this person had become like aggressive and all this, and it was just like, on the first date, lovely. Second date, completely different person. And I'm just like, fuck, it would really fuck with your head, especially if that happens like a few times.
Yeah.
That would really fuck with your head. And it's so easy for people to go, well, you need to be looking for better guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
It's
why
just like,
can't
but-
just...
but I'm
why,
trying. You
why
know what I
can't
mean?
guys just be fucking better?
Yeah,
Why can't
yeah.
they just be better fucking humans? It's not just about saying, well, you just look for better. It's like, well, just don't be a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Just don't be a piece of shit.
I mean, yeah, and then you totally understand
Why people get nervous.
why women get nervous, why they can be so standoffish whenever you try to treat them well, because it's just like, cause as I always say, you never know what people have been through, and it's like you need to understand people have a past. Like, we're 28, we've been through a lot of stuff, so you have to look at everyone like that. If you approach a girl randomly, in a bar or at the beach or in the gym, and she's very like abrupt and standoffish straight away, probably doesn't give you the response that you expect. It's just like, you don't know what the hell she's going on.
Yeah, that's very true.
The last person that probably approached her could have like sexually harassed her or abused her, and she's not for it. You know what I mean?
That's very true.
It's like,
Yeah.
is that one of the girls I messaged? She said like, guys that approach girls need to accept the response that they get whenever they approach them. It's just like, okay, yes means yes, but everything else means no.
I saw that. I think you posted something on that.
Everything else means no. So if
Yeah.
she says yeah, happy days. But if she says, I've got a boyfriend, I haven't got time, I'm going,
Whatever it is, it just
I'm
means
going to
no.
work, that means no. Because if you approach a girl and she thinks you're fit and she's single and she wants to give you her number, 100% she's going to give you
she'll
your
do
number.
it.
That's what they all say. It's like, if we find you attractive and we want to give you a number, we're 100% going to give you the number. But if we don't give you any signals, like, don't approach. Even one of the girls even messaged me and said, if even something as simple as if we're standing on our own and you're somewhere and you don't even know where you're going, like you're trying to find directions, don't ask her. Because she said to me, I've been standing at like a bus stop, I've been standing in the street on my own, and a guy's come up and asked for directions, and instantly she was scared. Like, instantly, and I was just like, you're just standing on your own and a guy's just one direction, and it's just like, that's the fear that's instilled in women in our society now.
So
And they can't even bloody help it. And this is multiple women saying, this is not just like one. I've messaged one girl and they've like this is like 5 or 6 different girls.
Because I would always hope that if I did approach anyone about any situation, I would think that I give off like a vibe of I'm chill, I'm cool. It's like you can't just assume that. But you can't
psychopaths and rapists and serial killers all give off that chill vibe. You know what I mean?
That's true. You can't just assume that.
Yeah.
You're like, that's a really good point. It's fucking hell. It's crazy that we don't have to think about that stuff day to day, and imagine that people that do. It's just like this. It's just another layer on top of everything you need to do in your day to day.
100%.
It's another sense of like alert you have to be on.
Yeah.
Another bit of your brain capacity that's being taken up by shit that you shouldn't have to be. That shouldn't have to be taken up by. It's
But even when I'm walking at night, sometimes I'm just like some of these streets around where we live, there's no street lights, and I'm walking and I'm just like, bloody hell, it's dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm a dude just walking down the street, and I'm just like, it's actually so dark here. And then I'm just thinking, how do women do this? And I said in my post, I posted something last week about this, and I said, I now make an active decision after speaking. Like, I've been doing this for a while, but especially at nighttime, I now make an active decision when I'm walking down on like up the path, and I see a woman either in front of me or behind me, I just cross the other side of the road, like, instantly. And it's not because I think I'm a bad person. Like, I'm not a bad person.
Just
it's
to
just
make
like,
them more relaxed.
Yeah, she's going to be more relaxed. She doesn't know who the hell I am. I'm just a dude in a hoodie walking down the middle of a dark street in Bondi. I'm just going to cross the road, or even just go a different direction. You know what I mean? Because that's going to make her at 10, 11 p.m. at night walking home on her own feel slightly easier. Which actually brings me to the point. So obviously messaged a lot of girls about this, and I was like, oh, what can we do better? And like, I took down like a few, which is really good. Can you guess any that they might have said? Because I haven't showed you this list.
One would be I guess like crossing the road.
Okay.
Like if it's late at night, cross the road. If it's late at night, try not to walk too close. I'm assuming this is all like at night. If you're not in public, if I can imagine if you're in public,
just public and they're on their own. I think.
Yeah, like
could
on
be
the,
any
yeah.
time of the day.
Well, even if it's in the public, if it's in public, there's loads of people around.
Well, if there's loads of people, I mean, like if they're on their own. And
oh right,
no
yeah.
else,
Sorry, yeah. If they're on their own, don't walk too close behind them. Don't stare at them. Don't linger. Yeah, that's it.
So that was a few of them. So they've said like if you keep your distance, please do that. Cross the road, because one interesting thing one of the girls said was just like if they're on their own and they see you behind them, the likelihood of them actually crossing is unlikely, because as nervous as they are in themselves, they don't want to give off that perception that they're nervous. Yeah. So if it's someone that actually wanted to hurt them, they don't want to like show that they're actually scared, because that's just more of a fuel and for that person to instigate. So it's like if you're there, cross the road, keep your distance. They also said to offer your female friends like to go home with them, or even if it's your girlfriend, offer to go home with them. Even if it's not on your way, it goes a long way. Sometimes offer to go and meet them at their house. If they live close by and they're down the road, offer to go and meet them there and walk to wherever you need to go. They said it goes a long way. One of them actually said, if we ever message asking, "Oh, can you come and pick us up?" it's not because we're lazy. It's just because that's the safest option that they have to get home.
Yeah.
Walking shit, because obviously we know why. Getting a taxi, still not safe. Getting public transport, also not safe. So they're just like, if we ask, it's not because like we just can't be bothered like taking a taxi or we can't be bothered walking. It's just because we'd rather have that sense of peace getting home, especially if you're drunk as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think as well, even if you're on like a casual date or whatever, I think it's important after just to like make sure the person got home all right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I always say, can you like message me when you get home? For sure. What else was said? They said keep your hands to yourself, and if you're wearing a hat or a hoodie, take it off or take it down, because even seeing your face is something that's gonna give them some peace. Like you're not fully hidden. Be an active bystander. So if you see shit going on,
get involved.
Intervene. Don't just like stand there and stare.
It's definitely happened to me. And like friends of mine where we've seen stuff going on and you've just actively got to do something about it.
100%. Straight away.
Just get involved.
No hesitation. I'm not a violent person, but I'll swing a punch if I need to.
Yeah. It's just being a decent human, and you know.
Yeah. What else would they say? They also said, I've got one here written down. If we say no to a drink or hanging out or even sex, don't guilt trip us. A lot of us will say yes because we're afraid of what will happen if we stand our ground. Which is perfectly fair.
100%. 100%.
Perfectly fair. But yeah, that's just some of the stuff like don't catcall, all that kind of stuff. And a few of them have also said it also starts within your friends. If you hear things being said that are in jest or that are jokey, like you gotta start calling that shit out.
Yeah.
Because even stuff said,
massively.
Even stuff said in jest and joking can manifest into something real because it's said so much. Oh, the lads are laughing. This is hilarious. Subconsciously, that could build up this kind of temptation and maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe I could do this. Maybe
I think
could
it comes
that.
down to like imagine if like the boys just started going on about like proper like racist jokes, like just saying really awful things. You'd be like, mate, that's just not on.
Yeah.
Just don't say that.
Yeah.
It's not funny. And I think that there's just like
because after a while, the more you say it, then the more normal it becomes in your head, and it's just like it's not normal. Like you saying that is just
it's a bit off key.
Yeah, it's off completely.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the main thing they said as well. Just like it starts with your friends and family. And one of the girls even said, just picture if it was your mum or your sister, or if you have a daughter, your daughter. Imagine this shit happening to them, or guys talking about them like that, and guys catcalling them and stuff like that. It's just like the idea of some dude catcalling my mum or saying inappropriate things to her doesn't sit well with me at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then if it doesn't sit well with someone doing that to your mum or your sister or your daughter,
It shouldn't sit well then, regardless.
it shouldn't sit well with anyone. You shouldn't have to have a sister or a daughter or mother to feel like this. You're a human.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't sit well in that scenario, like, why do men feel like it's okay to do it? You know what I mean? I really just feel like men just need to sort their shit out.
I think it's probably because people get like swept up in the moment around other people, and it's easier to go with the crowd than against it. And when everyone's joking about something, it's easier just to get involved and maybe stand your ground and go, you know, well, that's actually not cool with me.
Yeah, 100%.
It's always so much easier to do that, but I think we are getting more in a time where it's like you just need to fucking just do the right thing. Not that it hasn't always been like that, but I don't know, just having more life experience, you just learn that you don't just need to go along with the crowd. You don't just need to like please people and for people to like you. You don't need to just go along with it just to be liked. If you don't agree with something, just say you don't agree with it.
And if you're hanging around in a crowd where this is the norm or this is like what people, then get out of that.
Yeah,
you're in the wrong crowd. You're a piece of shit, and so are your friends. If that's the crowd that you're in where we're talking about women in that sense is normalized and isn't challenged, then you gotta switch it up.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you have anything else to say?
No, no. I think everything we spoke about has been spot on. I think the main points is just be a fucking better person. Just be better. Just do what you can. Get involved. Do the 1%ers. If it's going to make someone else feel better, don't fucking assume that we think you're a rapist, you're a fucking serial killer. It's not about that. But it's just do what you can to make other people feel safer. Because the realistic thing, the fucking... I'm trying to get my words out here. The fact of the matter is, we live in a society where women feel more vulnerable than men. That is just a fact. And telling people to feel better isn't going to change it. And saying that you're not a rapist or a serial killer isn't going to change it. So you have to just understand life is like that and just do the 1%ers anyway, even if you are an incredible human, which, I would like to think most men are good people. Most humans are good people. That's what I would like to assume. But just fucking openly and externally, just do those better things regardless.
Yeah, it's not enough just being a good person.
Yeah. And if it's not, I like that as well. If it's anything but a yes, it's a no.
Yeah. It's not enough just to be a good person. You have to actively make that effort to make a difference in people's lives. You have to actively make a difference to not to battle this sort of situation that women are going through. Yeah. If you're good at a sport, it's not enough to just be good at a sport. You got to go out and practice. You got to go out and play it. You got to become successful. Same situation in this. It's not just enough to be a nice guy. Like, you have to actively intervene when you see a situation. You have to actively try and make your female friends and women in general feel safer. Your girlfriend safer. Your mum safer. Your daughter safer. You have to actively do that.
Yeah.
In order for shit to change.
Yeah. I've got nothing else to add to that. I think I think everything we touched on has been spot on. And to everyone out there who has been through situations and who are going through situations, sorry. Yeah. Just sorry that that's what you have been going through. I'm sorry that that's what you have been. That's what you have been through. And we'll definitely do what we can do. And
But we're here listening and we're learning.
Yeah.
And always willing to learn and
100%
and improve. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
We will see you very soon. Peace out. Much love.